Hi guys, our next video is not for the faint of heart, for those who like myths, urban legends, and especially ghost stories. Our next video is definitely for you. As we all know, the Philippines is composed of more than 7,107 islands. With this vast number of islands, there are many ghost stories that are told from time to time. Stories that are handed down from generations to generations. These ghost stories that has become myths or legends among folks in neighboring villages and cities. There are also stories that tell of mysterious places. There are stories that tell of haunted places or haunting of people. There are stories that are told about personal experiences. There are so many stories from each region of the country waiting for you to explore. Surely you have read stories about haunting, about ghost stories, and also stories about spirits. Are these spine-chilling stories creation of our imaginations? It is not how you experience this. It is not why you experience this. It is not where you experience this. It is on how you believe in them that make them real. We have here three ghost stories that some may say they are myths. Some may say they are only urban legends, and some may say that these personal experiences are make-believe. Davao Taxi number 45. Taxis are very popular means of transportation, especially among those living in the cities or urban places. It is comparable to the PUVs, which are crowded and uncomfortable. Popular news about taxis are overcharged fares, news about robbery and killings. But what makes our story from Davao different? This story about taxi number 45 is one of the most popular urban legends in Davao. The evening was getting late. A female passenger decided to take a taxi on her way home. As she hailed the taxi and boarded, she had a creepy feeling and knew something was not right. Just to remove her doubt and fear, she started to talk to the driver regarding sorts of things, and she noticed the driver no longer responded to her. She noticed that the driver was very silent and unmoved. Upon reaching her place, she reached inside her bag for the payment, and as she was to hand over the money to the driver, she was petrified to see the face of the driver. It was bloody and deformed. Very frightened, she ran outside the cab, gasping. As she reached the front of her gate, she turned around, but the taxi was nowhere in sight. This incident was reported to the police, but there was no record of the taxi number 45 and its driver. The Luwakan Road White Lady. Many stories about white ladies have surfaced throughout the years. This already became urban legends and has been popular among travelers and locals. One of the most popular of the story is the one in Luwakan Road in Baguio City. The Luwakan Road has dense woods or pine trees along both sides of the road and is sometimes covered with thick fog. They say that a white lady that rests within the Luwakan Road was raped and murdered. Also, there used to be a pine tree in the middle of the road. that was rumored where the White Lady always appeared. Many taxi drivers during the 90s and up to the present have experienced an encounter with the Luwakan White Lady. One story was when a taxi driver was driving along the Luwakan Road area. He had an eerie feeling while he was driving. As he glanced at his rearview mirror, he was shocked as he saw a lady dressed in white sitting at the back seat of the taxi and was looking at him. The driver was very terrified and did not know what to do at that moment. As he had accelerated the cab, he once again looked at the rearview mirror and the lady was gone. The driver continued driving and lived to tell the story. Another story of the Luwakan Road White Lady was about a motorist who was also driving along the road. As he reached the exact point where the pine tree was in the middle of the road, he saw a lady dressed in white crossing the street. As the motorist slowed down, his eyes were on the lady, but to his astonishment, the lady disappeared in thin air. Very frightened, the motorist hurried and drove away. Same stories from different motorists, both local and tourists, have been told about the White Lady. Are these stories mainly coincidences? Jeepney ride in QC. The jeepney has been a symbol of the Philippines as public transport. These jeepneys are from the original design that were remnants of the US military jeeps of World War II. As these jeepneys has been around, one popular area where the jeepneys are is in the area of UP Diliman campus. As it was approaching midnight, one lady student took the jeepney on her way home. As the vehicle was moving, she noticed that the driver was making eerie glances at her through the rearview mirror and would sometimes turn around and look at her occasionally. She felt very uncomfortable. She also began to be frightened when the driver started to run along a different route which was slightly unfamiliar to her. As the girl began fearing for her dear life and her dignity, many negative thoughts also lingered in her mind. Uncomfortable and frightened, the girl constantly watches over the driver's movements. All of a sudden, she knew that she was already at her dropping spot. Before she took off the jeepney, with a frightening voice, the driver told her immediately to burn her clothes when she reaches her home. The driver told her that she was headless when he saw her through the rearview mirror. That's why he had to take a different route for fear of her untimely demise. As the girl reached her home, she immediately burned her clothes. She was very frightened of the words that were uttered by the driver. This incident never left her mind. After several days, a news shocked the girl, for the driver that was with her during that night had died. The headless premonition was not for her, but for the driver. Every place has its own story, waiting for us to unfold each mystery. With each story, we may not know if these are based from true or actual experiences. You can never really tell if they are true or not. Thanks for watching.